Hi, I'm Coach Dan Gordon, and welcome to my podcast for badass entrepreneurs only. If you're an entrepreneur who loves hitting it hard, growing your business, and learning from billionaires how to succeed, then you are clearly badass and you are going to love my show. But if you just want to take life slow and easy, you aren't badass, don't even bother listening. For the rest of you, strap in, for Badass Entrepreneurs Only is taking off now. Hi, I'm Coach Dan Gordon, and today I'm talking with Jeff Apploff, an amazing television visionary. He's not only the executive producer of 4 different network TV shows, he's launched an interactive game platform. He's worked with Jamie Foxx, Mark McGrath, Rob Lowe. If you want to know how to generate big ideas and get them on TV, Jeff Apploff will give us all the answers. You are going to love this show. But before we get there, know this. Right now, in this moment, you have the power to live your life unlimited. For Badass Entrepreneurs Only can show you the way. Today, I promise to open your mind, to set your thinking on fire, to pull back the curtain on your world and show you what you're truly capable of achieving. Come with me and enter a new reality of infinite success. The doors are locked. The stage is set. It's time to get badass. Ready? Let's go. Have you ever considered what it takes to live an extraordinary life? Now, I'm not just talking about being a billionaire, having a private jet, or climbing Mount Everest. I'm talking about living life as an extraordinary person. Someone who doesn't have to overcome obstacles because you don't see obstacles. Someone who doesn't have to set goals because you love taking on challenging new endeavors. Throughout history, we have seen people living extraordinary lives, like the Wright brothers, Dr. King, Buckminster Fuller, Mother Teresa, to great visionaries of today, like Elon Musk, Richard Branson, Larry Page, and Patrisse Cullors. We know these names not because they own private jets, but because of the impact on the world that they made. Living an extraordinary life has nothing to do with what you get, and it has everything to do with what you give. What you give that's helpful, compelling, and entirely unique to the world. Extraordinary people are both the architects and the disruptors of our modern world. They impact our lives every day. Because of that, they're loved and admired, but also hated and scorned. And why? Because they make us think. They make us reflect. They make us look at ourselves in entirely new ways, and sometimes it's in the ways we don't want to see. We all have the capacity to live extraordinary lives, lives that give us purpose and meaning, lives that serve the people around us and serve the world, lives that disrupt and challenge, but also move the world forward. If this sounds compelling to you, I'd like to help you begin. I want to send you a free copy of my book, Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story, and Take Action. Just text the word GAP to my personal cell phone, 213-409-8366. This book will help you on your very first steps in living an extraordinary life, the kind you may have never imagined possible. Once again, text the word GAP to my personal cell phone, 213-409-8366. And get a free copy of my book, Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story, and Take Action. So, let me introduce my guest, Jeff Apploff, President and CEO of Apploff Entertainment. And let me emphasize the word entertainment, because today, capturing an audience is all about being immediately entertaining. And Jeff Apploff has cracked the code. Jeff just doesn't make television. He makes cutting-edge, groundbreaking entertainment that's changing the nature of how people consume entertainment around the world. His company is well known for producing top content for top networks, for streaming services on mobile apps, for celebrities and big-name brands in multiple countries. In 2007, Jeff launched his first show, Don't Forget the Lyrics, with Wayne Brady. Today, and get this, There are over 25 different versions of this show in over 25 countries, with over 500 episodes in France alone. It's been hosted by Sugar Ray, Mark McGrath, and now there's a new version with Niecy Nash. Now, that's just one show, but he didn't stop there. Jeff also created the extremely innovative Beat Shazam, where contestants race the app Shazam to identify songs. That is now in its 5th season, and it's hosted by Grammy and Oscar winner Jamie Foxx. Jeff is also the executive producer of Mental Samurai, hosted by Rob Lowe, which is a new global phenomenon. This show is Jeopardy on a roller coaster. I can't wait to ask him about this. Jeff's newest show is called The Wheel, which he brought over from the UK. It's hosted by Michael McIntyre, and if you don't know him yet, trust me, when this comes out, you will. He is hilarious. Jeff has a ton of other shows, but I just can't wait any longer to talk to him, so let's do this thing. Jeff Apploff, welcome, welcome, welcome to Badass Entrepreneurs Only.
Coach Dan Gordon, that was a fantastic intro. Thank you so much. I am honored to be here.
Oh, we're honored to have you here. I know our time is tight, so would it be okay if we just jump right into the middle of some big questions?
Let's go.
Okay, thanks. So you have this amazing mind when it comes to creating entertainment, and it seems like you've cracked some code on making compelling television. But how do you know what people want to watch? I mean, like, is it intuitive, or is there like a secret Jeff Apploff formula, like locked away in a vault somewhere? Like, how's it work?
Well, I think the secret formula for me is most of the time what I try to do is create something that is built around something that people already do on a daily basis. For instance, when you look at Don't Forget the Lyrics, everybody thinks they know the lyrics to a song. People do karaoke, people sing songs, people are in their cars singing, people sing the wrong lyrics all the time. So it seemed to be like a perfect type of show to create a game around, right? You know, anybody that goes, I don't like music, there's no such thing, right?
Right.
So if you take a nucleus of something where people do it already, and then you gamify it and you put entertainment around it, and you get a Jamie Foxx or a Rob Lowe or whoever it is to host it, and you build a beautiful, like, you just do all these things and make everything perfect, and then at least you've got a shot.
You know, Jeff, I got to push back just a little bit, Jeff, because I think you're being way too humble. You're making it sound like anybody can do this. And I know that tons of people have created tons of shows and have had a ton of failures, right? But you've had tremendous success.
I mean, listen, but I've had failure too, right? And in failure, you probably learn a lot more than you do in success, right? Success, anybody can be great under a great situation. It's under duress and under a bad situation. That's when you're judged, right? You're judged by how you handle adversity, right? I'm not saying that anybody can do it. You specifically were saying, what's your formula? And I'm saying, I try to start from a place where I start with things that I think people already do, and then I put it on steroids. That's where the magic comes in. But I have a real affinity, a love for watching real people win money, right? So when you're doing what I do and you build a great game, you also have to understand that you're in the entertainment business, so you have to be building story at the same time.
Yeah.
So we take a lot of time to build games that also have story weaving throughout it. And when you take somebody and you meet them at the beginning and you go, well, I got to tell you, I've got $105 in the bank. And at the end of that show, you're going, for $350,000, is it? There is an arc that person is going on, and the audience is going with them.
See, that's what's like so innovative, right? Because you're building human drama. So do you feel that the more we know about the contestants, the more we'll root for them?
Yeah, I mean, if you, as an audience member, if you can put yourself in the seat of that person, if you can go on the journey with them, you want people to feel something. That's what makes something happen. When you watch a movie, if you just watch something and you're not feeling it, like, you have to feel the show. Yeah. Right. And so, you know, when you're building like the things that I do, you have to build it with emotion otherwise you're just building game elements, and who cares? Yeah, but like, isn't a love for the dramatic part of the human experience?
Like, we like feeling compassionate for people, especially when they're struggling.
Totally. I think you can look at it like that. I think deeper than drama, because I do think that people like drama. I do. But I think people love stories. So whether the story is dramatic, whether it's adventurous, exciting, or dramatic, that's what people love. So that's what movies are built around. That's what books are built around. That's what your podcast is built around. I mean, listen, you told your audience at the beginning, I am going to take you on a journey with me. Yeah. I am going to show you this, this, and this. And the hope is that the audience believes in you. They're going to listen. And at the end of it, they go, hey, that was a great 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hour, whatever it is that they're on the journey for, and that you've delivered to what you said. But you started your story off by saying this. And then the question is, how successful is, Coach Dan Gordon going to be by delivering to what he just promised his audience, right? You want to be able to craft this arc that builds the story in whatever you're doing.
Okay. We could end the show right now and already have fulfilled that promise, because what you just laid out is the path to success for any entrepreneur. Like, building story into their product or what they're offering. That's why game show concepts have to be fairly simple, right? Viewers just want to be emotionally engaged with the people inside of the game.
Totally. Well, yeah, I mean, different people like different things, right? But when you talk about, because it's one thing with what I do, right? Mm-hmm. But I've done a lot of things in my career to get to where I am. I did not start in the television business, nor should I have ever been in the television business. It totally happened by accident, right? But before I did that, I was in the restaurant business. I was in the radio business. I was a stand-up comedian. I did all these different things. You build these tools, and every single thing that you do, you're putting tools in the toolbox, right? What I would say for entrepreneurs is it has always been about having a blueprint, right? How do you plan properly so that what you finish with is going to be what I call a house that's earthquake-proof and fire-proof and hurricane-proof. Hey. So if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, you have to go, here is where I am today. This is where I want to be, whatever that is. Then here's where you start, and here's the things that you have to do, and here's what I got to do to get to that, and here's what I got to do to get to that. And you just start from the bottom and build. And to me, that, if you want to be an entrepreneur and you really want to be successful, you have to, have a direction. You can't just get in your car and drive anywhere. You have to know where you're going.
See, that's perfectly said. And I want to talk about your history in just a minute. But I must tell you, I think calling your shows game shows like trivializes what you do in particular, Jeff, because you're creating this edge of your seat, groundbreaking entertainment. So what do you call that?
I call them game shows. Listen, I call them game shows. Why? Because that is what the genre is called in which we do. What we try to do is we really do try to do things that are different. Look, I don't get caught up in the trivial things. I don't. I'm a simple guy. I like simple things. Like, I'll give you an example, okay? Yeah. I met someone at a restaurant who did movies. And, they've done some pretty big movies, pretty big movie producer, right? And he goes to me, so, how do you feel like about the game shows? Do you feel like, he goes, it feels like it's like lower on the rung. And I go, well, listen, everybody has their thing. If you want to consider what you do, like the French restaurant, sure. I make barbecue. I'm happy to make barbecue. I make the best barbecue in the business, and I'm happy to be the best barbecue guy there is. I'm not making big dramatic films, right? But these networks trust us with building an hour of entertainment on their network. Yeah. They pay us a lot of money to do it. It's a big budget. And you're also given the responsibility of entertaining people. So I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care about it being trivialized. And I don't care if you call it a game show, you call it this, I know what I do. Right. And for me, I love what I do. And that I could tell you for your audience is what you really want. If you're driving to work every day or on Zoom and going to work and you're not happy, then you're never, it doesn't make a difference how much money you make. That money will never be the same, and you'll never be do something you love, do something you're passionate about, take your shot, and then the money will come, and so will the happiness.
And see, that's so important, because what I'm hearing is passion. You also take what you do very seriously, and that's essential, right? Every entrepreneur must be passionate about what they do, and they must take their business as seriously as if it's like life or death.
Totally. Like I was saying to you before, like I met this movie producer who was asking me like, well, you're kind of lower on the,
right.
Which makes me laugh because you look at it and it all depends on whose perspective you look at. But once you have to do the 10,000 hours of what it takes to do a game show and make a game show successful, right? Like we didn't just get good at this. Like we've failed a lot to get good at this, right? Like we failed a lot. And we learned a lot, and we learn every day. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? So it's like you're learning every day what your craft is, and you're building on your craft every day. And that's what all of us should be doing, right?
Yes. And you just said my favorite word, Jeff, failure. Like I love what failure teaches us. I failed a lot, but probably because I try more new things than most people. So what's a big failure that gave you a big lesson?
Well, there's so many of them, right? But I will give you a moment that was earth-shattering for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So we had a game show that was on Fox called $1 Million Money Drop. Okay. And the way that show worked was people started with a huge amount of money, and they had to put the money on this big, on these big like trap doors, right? And if the answer was right, it would stay, and if it was wrong, boom, it would go down to the floor, and the money would be gone forever. Okay. And so these people, I think they had like $880,000 that was still in play. And I think they put like 800 of it on one of the answers. It was like, which one of these things came first? And I don't remember what it was, but I remember it being like, the Walkman. It was like, these different things, sure. Right? And we had done the research on it. We did all that stuff. And we ended up getting it wrong. Ooh. We ended up getting however it was the wrong information. They ended up losing. And the next day, like the pushback from viewers and from these people and all of this stuff. And it was heartbreaking for me because you're in a business where you have to get that right. You can't mess that up. You take your entire career to build your reputation and one day to ruin it, right? Yeah. So that moment for me literally said, every single thing has to be perfect. Every piece of casting goes through me. Every single song goes through me. Every single thing that was said, nothing happens on that show without going through me. So you learn from that type of thing, right? But how do you handle the adversity of that? Do you let that crush you, or do you go, okay?
But most people don't bounce back from something like this, Jeff. Like most people have one big failure and they're done. So is the ability to bounce back, is it like endemic in your personality, or is this something that you had to teach yourself how to do?
There's a lot of things you have to teach yourself, right? My answer to you is you wake up every day and you make a decision, right? You make a decision on the attitude that you're going to have. You make a decision on how you want to run, like whatever that may be. I have always believed that you need to be solutions oriented. Everything needs to be a solution. It can't be about problems. To me, that is how you look at it and you go, okay, how are we going to turn this around and make it successful? And how am I going to learn from it? And all of that stuff. So listen, Dan, it's to be honest with you, I've come a long way on it because for a long time, I never wanted to talk about that. That was really, that was a stain for me and it was really hard. But listen, you make mistakes, right? I took it on the chin. I didn't blame the person. I didn't go into the writers and go, how did you do this? I didn't go to the person after that. I didn't go to there's a lot of people that it got through, but ultimately it got past me and I hired those people and I did it and I set up the systems. And if it got through me, it's my fault, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. Because what I'm hearing is no shame, and no blame. You took full responsibility. Most people in failure just want to throw the stink onto someone else, right? They want to run. It's the really successful people who take responsibility, own it, and fix it, and move on, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, what are you going to do? Wallow in it?
Yeah, but that's what most people do. I mean, they blame others and shame themselves. It's what we were taught to do by our parents, our teachers, our bosses, but really, it's just like being self-indulgent, right? Because you don't learn anything when you blame or shame yourself. You don't get better. So I want to move forward. In my research, I see people calling you the Merv Griffin of our generation, right? Which is kind of like calling you the Einstein of science. What do you think of that comparison, Jeff?
I don't like it. Listen, I have not reached my potential of success, and I certainly have never reached the level of success that Merv Griffin reached. Merv Griffin was in at a time, one of the most successful human beings. He hosted his own show. He built a company that was unbelievable. Look, I've done some good things, but I still have not reached the level of expectation for myself that I think that I should be at. And that's not trivializing anything. That is me having an expectation of myself and where I think I should be and what it could be. So anybody that would say anything like that is off. It's all good. I would appreciate the compliment, but it's not rooted in reality.
Okay, and I hear you. And again, I think you're being way too humble. But let's move on. I'm curious, what piqued your interest in television in the beginning of your career? Like, out of all the things you could do, why TV?
It was a crazy thing. I was at a restaurant one night. I met these people. It was way back in like 2002 or something like that. Reality television was really taking off. I was trying to figure out what my next thing was going to be. I met these guys, and one of them told me that they did this show, and the other one told me that they did that show, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm as smart as those guys. I have ideas. Like, I've always been a creative guy. I'm going to go create a few TV shows. And that's what happened. And I ended up selling one, and then another one, and then another one. And there you go. And I literally had never produced a show in my life. But let me tell you, okay, Dan, so people know.
Yeah.
I am a high school dropout. Okay. I finished high school on the first day of the 11th grade and never went back. Okay. I was never in television and literally did not know one person in Hollywood. And I knew nothing about making television. Right. But I did have a lot of other things that I've done, right? I built restaurants. I did these other things in my life that, again, were those tools in the toolbox that make you go, oh, I can have some success. So I looked at television and I go, I actually think I could break into this. I think I could go to Hollywood. I think I could sell a show. I mean, I sold my first show. I didn't even have an agent, right? I literally did not have, I sold my first 2 shows without an agent.
What do you think?
Like, I remember going into ABC and they're like, can I ask you a question? And I said, yeah. And they go, how did you get in here?
Yeah. How did you get in there?
Yeah, listen, you find a way, right? I've always been a guy that can pick up a phone and make a meeting and make something happen. And then you go in and you are impressive enough to warrant the meeting.
Do you think it's your ability to tell stories and to capture people's imagination that was the defining factor that moved all of this forward?
Number one, people want to do business with people they like, right? So you want to go in and be likable. You want to treat people with respect. You want to make sure that you're always, giving respect and being nice and like genuinely nice, though, not douchey nice, like genuinely nice to everybody. So what I mean by that is like the assistant you have respect and you're nice to. You get a conversation with them. You do it. You don't know what it takes to get in there. But sometimes it's the assistant going in and going, listen, this guy's called like 5 times. He's really a good guy on the phone. Like, he's really nice. I would meet with him if I were you. And they go, okay, make the meeting. Like, that influence is important. And then there's other people that don't treat those people like they feel like they're above them. And sometimes I say to people in the business, I don't know what level of success you think there is or how much money you think there is that you can be rude or mean or disrespectful to people, but it doesn't fly with me. So I think, Dan, what I said to you from the beginning is in everything, it takes everything.
And I love what you said about being good at everything. You have to know how to run every aspect of your business to train people to do it your way. I love that thinking. So what happened with you when people said, oh, this idea is crazy, or this isn't going to work, or why do you want to get into television? You'll never do that. How did you filter those messages out, especially when they came from like really intelligent, well-renowned people?
Yeah, it happened a lot. Okay. And a lot of people told me that's not the way that television works. And I think one of my advantages in everything that I do when I decide to do it is I don't really care about the rules. I don't care.
Oh.
I don't want to know what the rules of the business are. I can't tell you how many times people have said to me, we have a rule and we just don't do that. But I do think it also is smart. Like when you have really smart people that are experienced people that are telling you, you need to listen, because sometimes those people are telling you something and they're right. When I sold Beat Shazam, okay, I didn't go in and sell it as Beat Shazam. I sold it as a completely different show. It was called $1 Million Hit List. And the actual Fox executive said to me, we're doing a lot of stuff with Shazam. Have you ever met with those guys? And I go, no, I haven't. I've tried to make a few calls and speak with them. She goes, well, you should think about a way to like integrate the show like that. And I said, would you mind getting me on the phone with them? And she said, no. And I literally left the meeting and I went home and redid the whole show.
Wow.
Okay. And now it was going to be, it's man versus machine.
Yeah.
This is what it is, right? And I literally called her up and I go, hey, I'm coming back tomorrow. Brand new show. And she goes, what do you mean? I go, it's brand new. You're going to love it. And I went back in and pitched it like that. Like when I had Beat Shazam, I went to NBC. There was an executive there that I have a very close relationship with. He was like, it's too dramatic. It needs to be more fun. Like if you're going to do a music show, it shouldn't be a drama show. So I took that and I went back and recrafted it. I didn't just go, tuck my tail between my legs.
Sure.
And I also didn't go, what does he know? He knows nothing. Like I took it and made it better and then sold it. And then he came back to me and he goes, I should have known.
Also, Jeff, you did something really cool that you just sort of glossed over there. So I want to circle back to it. When they said, hey, you should talk with Shazam, immediately you said, good idea. Who do you know there? Who can you connect me with? You might not realize how brilliant that is because most entrepreneurs don't think that way. Most people will get $1 million advice and just the first thing they do is like they just throw it away, right? Because they're too scared, it's too hard, they don't know how to do it.
Well, listen, when you hear something like that, and I had been trying to find a way to do a man versus machine show for a long time.
Uh-huh.
There's a guy that I work with named Mike Darnell, who was the president of Fox for a long time. But he had come to me several times and we got to do a show that's man versus machine. The guy's a genius. He's an evil genius, right? And so when the opportunity came, that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, oh, this is how we're going to execute it. And it's been good.
But I'm pointing it out because I want my audience to hear what this is and what makes massive success. It's not about waiting for opportunities to show up because opportunities show up all the time and people don't see it. It's about being able to see the opportunities when they show up. If you hadn't asked right there in that moment, who do you know at Shazam? This might have never happened. That's brilliant. It's just brilliant. I want to talk about Mental Samurai. I described it. It's like putting Jeopardy on roller coaster. So would you tell my audience what the show is and how it works and what part you played in it?
That was a show that was created by Mike Darnell, who I just told you, and Arthur Smith, who does American Ninja Warrior. Right. And they were basically trying to find a way to do Ninja Warrior of the mind. We always say that these game shows it's a roller coaster ride.
Right.
Well, how do you make a literal roller coaster ride? So they went out and they researched and they found this Kuka arm, which is, you can find it at certain theme parks, but it's literally, we put a pod on this Kuka arm and it would take you throughout the studio and all of these things. What I liked about Mental Samurai and what's fun about Mental Samurai is that there's 4 different towers. So it's knowledge, it's puzzles, it's sequence, it's all of these great things, right? And it's different ways to work your brain, but it's all within one game show. But you're taking these people on the ride and the Kuka's spinning you upside down and it's visual and it was really a groundbreaking way to do a game show. And so I really enjoyed doing it. It's so much fun doing the show with Rob Lowe.
And what's so cool about this is that a game show host used to be like around the bottom of the showbiz ladder. But now you're getting Jamie Foxx and Rob Lowe and Sugar Ray. Like all these top people want to get involved in your shows. So how are you attracting these giant names?
Game shows are self-contained, right? For the most part, you can gang shoot an entire season in a week. Right. So like when I go to shoot Beat Shazam, that whole entire show will be shot in 5 days. So if you're a big star, you can come in and literally within a 2-week period, execute, cash in, do it. And also, it's different. Like television has like premium content right now. Look at the content that's out there. It's better than movies. You can't get better television. And some of these big game shows that are on, they've got story, they're fun, they're interactive. And so the world's changed. People used to look down on television. No longer. That's gone.
Jeff, I know we're really tight on time, but I want to talk to you about this new show called The Wheel. It was brought over from the UK where it's huge, and they asked you to run it. So now you're tasked with making it appeal to American audiences, right? Like, no pressure, Jeff. So tell us about the show.
So The Wheel was done by a company called Hungry Bear. And it was created by their host too, Michael McIntyre, right?
Yeah.
Like the biggest comedian in all of the UK, giant. Right. Like does Wembley Stadium, has won a BAFTA, like great, like really great stand-up. So they created the show. It was a huge hit on the BBC, huge. And they sold it to NBC. Mm-hmm. And then I got that same phone call. We got a show. Oh. I got to show you what it is. You have to do it. We had 60 different celebrities on that show. It's a lot of celebrities.
Whoa.
And you've got a giant wheel. And to me, there's a special sauce on every show. Right? Take a look at The Voice. Now, if you say to people, what's the special sauce on The Voice? People will tell you, oh, it's the spinning chair. But the special sauce of that show was there is a vulnerability when a celebrity is saying to a regular person, please pick me. I want you to pick me. And that regular person goes, I'm not going with you. I'm going to go with them. We've never seen that out of a celebrity before. So every show has that special sauce. There's a few special sauces on this particular show because it's really funny. And Michael McIntyre, he's a super great host. He understands drama. He understands comedy. The questions are really fantastic. And the idea of that show is that it's 6 celebrities all on the wheel. Each of them bring an expertise in a specific category. So it could be anything. One could be an expert in ice cream. One could be wigs. And, there's 3 contestants that are underneath that wheel.
Right.
And everything is random. The wheel spins and all of a sudden the contestant comes up and then there's a bigger wheel up top that's spinning. And so these 6 celebrities are helping the 3 contestants answer these questions and bank money. And at the end of the show, whoever the last person is up that can answer the final question after the 6 categories and everything's been cleared can win huge money. You're watching regular people work with celebrities and talk through these different categories and these different things. It's very, very compelling. It's super funny. It's dramatic. It's a great television show.
It sounds like another Jeff Apploff colossal hit. We just have 1 minute, so I want to ask you one last question. Is there a game show that hasn't been done that you want to do that you don't know if it's possible?
I have a show that we're working on right now that is very, very difficult to do. It is a huge interactive game show where everybody, all of the home audience can win money playing live to the game show while the game show's happening. Now, that's a very difficult thing to do because we have 3 different time zones. You have technology, you have all these different things. But until I have cracked the code on that, I will not stop. I want to play a game where somebody literally sitting in their living room in Omaha, Nebraska can win $1 million right from their couch. That to me is groundbreaking, right? And so cool. So we're working really hard on that.
Well, Jeff Apploff, I do not doubt that we'll be seeing that in the near future. You are the epitome of a great entrepreneur, Jeff. You're freaking relentless. Thank you for being so generous with your time. Hearing your thought process and your creative process has been priceless information for my audience. For most people, it would be impossible to ever gain access to someone of your caliber. So having you here to share your stories and advice is certainly a very rare treat for all of us. And so thank you for being on for Badass Entrepreneurs Only.
Well, thank you for all the kind words, and thank you to your audience for listening. And great interview. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
God, that means the world to me, Jeff. Thanks so much. Take care. And before we wrap up, I want to remind you to get a free copy of my book, Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story and Take Action. Just text the word GAP, G-A-P, to 213-409 409-8366. It will help you take bold new action on your entrepreneurial journey. Text the word GAP, G-A-P, to 213-409-8366. And I also want to thank you. Yeah, you. The you who is listening to this show right now. Thank you for opening your mind and stepping into the world of infinite possibilities. My guests, all of them, breathe the same air you do. There's nothing stopping you from taking bold action, opening up your world, challenging yourself to step up and live your life unlimited. I'm Coach Dan Gordon. Thanks for listening. Now get out there and show the world the next greatest version of you. Hey, if you have some thoughts about the show you'd like to share with us, or if you think you've got what it takes to be a guest, send me a text at 213-409-8366. Let me know what you think, or let me know why you think you'd be a great guest for this show. Thanks again for listening. I hope you're inspired to unleash your badass self on the world.